Welcome back to Coffee in the Swarm, a Project Zion podcast production, coming to you from Graceland University in Lillenas, Iowa. The Swarm is our on-campus snack bar in the Newcomb Student Union. This year, our podcast is hosted by campus chaplain, myself, Aliyah Farrell, and is hosted by campus minister
Mike Hoffman.
Coffee in the Swarm is where we interview students at Graceland who are connected to the community of Christ. Today, we are here with our first guest speaker of second semester,
Andrew Wolsey.
All right, welcome back, Andrew. We previously just pulled up that Andrew was on the podcast in October of 2020. So we have Andrew back here again because he's unfortunately leaving us.
Oh, that sounds bad.
He's been here for what, a long...
This is my 6th year.
Yeah. 6 years.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, tell us about yourself. Tell us your story.
Okay. Well, I was born in Des Moines, Iowa, but when I was 2, I moved out to Boulder, Colorado, where I grew up. Both my parents were both pastors. My dad was a Methodist pastor, my mom's Community of Christ. And then graduated high school. I came to Graceland here. I did a lot of different things at Graceland. I think I'm most known for being like the house president for 2 years for Clawson. Aliyah's boyfriend's one of the Clawson boys, so we have that connection there. Now I'm a graduate assistant for Campus Ministries here, and yeah.
And you're actually in your second year
My second
of doing
year,
that,
yep.
right? Yeah.
I'll have one more kind of semester after this, but
Yeah.
this is my last school year.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too, right? Because
Right.
we're going to explain what
My plans for this
your
year.
plans, which, yeah. Okay. So, all right.
What was church like for you back home in Colorado?
I'll stick with Community of Christ because my dad also a Methodist.
Oh,
pastor.
right.
Oh, okay.
I was actually a Methodist before I was Community of Christ when I was 14, but with Community of Christ, I was baptized when I was 15. I always went to the church camps. I didn't ever really go to actual church.
But you went, when you say you went to church camps, you went as a little kid to church
little kid.
camps?
Like
Okay,
reunion?
Reunion.
Okay,
being
okay.
5 years old and all
Gotcha.
that. My favorite one was Camp Paradise in Wyoming, which sadly has been sold, but
Oh, yeah.
Big Spruce in Colorado now is still there. All the church camps, all the retreats. We had always the ski retreat, street retreat during the year. Those were good.
So reunion for you was at Big Spruce predominantly.
Predominantly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last summer you and I went to Big Spruce
Big
together.
Spruce, yeah.
Yeah. So.
When I think of church camp, I think of Camp Paradise, though.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it's my high school, middle school.
Oh,
career
yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of makes sense.
Yep.
Did that help influence you to come to Graceland, or was it more of I know you're a legacy child,
Right.
which is most of the Community of Christ people.
Very true.
Was that a big influence, or was it more of
I think it
something
was.
else?
I always wanted to go to seminary, and I guess I knew that Community Christ I always wanted to work there. So going to Graceland, work Community Christ, it made sense to do that together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you really knew that. At what age did you know?
It was okay. It's kind of weird. I remember being 14 years old at a Methodist church service, and I would draw on the bulletins. I drew my entire career. I'm I will be this age at seminary. And here I am.
Wow.
So I'm all that to a T.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
as an older guy, I always
Right.
tell people, "Oh, have a plan.
Right.
Be flexible, but have a plan." Well,
Yep,
it
yep.
sounds like you've had a plan pretty early.
Right.
Pretty early,
I
yeah.
guess.
And you
Gosh.
stuck to it too, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
because
true.
most times,
Right, people
you make a
Yeah.
plan, and then God's like, the
Nah.
plan isn't the right plan.
Yeah, but if it's God's
Yeah,
plan,
yes,
it's fine.
Andrew was connecting, he was in it.
Yeah.
Gosh, how is it? I've known you for 6 years, and I just now am learning this.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. I don't ask the right questions, evidently. Good job,
Thank you.
Aliyah. Yeah.
All right. So describe your Graceland experience this far.
Okay. Well, I came in 2019, and that was the year COVID hit.
Yeah.
In 2020, but Mike and I were on
That was your freshman year.
my freshman year
And we were on a church history caravan together
Mm.
when COVID
when it
hit.
hit.
Actually, it was pretty funny. If you wanted to, we were on this trip and they closed the university while we're gone.
I know, yeah.
Oh, right. When everything shut down.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
year after.
So we came back. I got myself and then shipped back home right away.
Right.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But then your second year would have still been in sort of a COVID
It was a COVID year.
Yeah.
I noticed people got kind of, I guess, depressed that year.
Right.
Which for me, I was kind of the opposite. I'm an existentialist, and so my whole idea is to live in the moment, carpe diem. So I got really mad at the world.
Yeah.
So I dove into being a peer mentor, student pastor, COSA rep, co-facilitator for the Community Development Club.
still doing all
Yeah.
those
Do
things.
you think like that period of like COVID, did that like influence you to still pursue theology and
I think
get
it
your
did.
master's and
Yeah.
obviously like come to be a grad assistant eventually? Like,
Right.
do you think that really helped that? Because like obviously you're by yourself
Right.
doing a lot of soul searching or whatever.
I think it did. I think really this is gonna sound weird. I was on a date with a girl a while ago, and she was like, everything you do is out of spite. And I think about it, I think it's kind of true. Everything I do is out of spite. I was really just mad at the world.
Was this in that time period you mean, or now?
That was a
You
few
said-
years ago.
Okay,
I
okay.
think about. But
Yeah.
I think when I was 20, especially, I was really angry. I was like, okay, like this is the world. I'm gonna try to do something about it, you know? And so that's pushed me down this path.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have lived through a really tough time. High school, I assume, for you, and
Right.
Aliyah, and then Andrew for college. But yeah, I mean, in my lifetime, that was the strangest thing maybe that's happened so far. So Andrew, you've been here for your undergraduate experience. So share a little bit about what your seminary experience has been as because your role here, you've been part-time working for campus ministry as a graduate assistant, but then the real crux of this has been pursuing your master's degree through the seminary. So
Yeah.
what's that been like for you?
I think I have definitely a unique look at this also. Coming from being the president for 2 years, for me, seminary is giving me this opportunity to stay with the boys on Clawson and spend mentor with them.
Right.
Like, we have this office right here, and always Clawson guys.
There are,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I became a Clawson father because of
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not
Not that I've done a really good job with that, but yes. Okay.
you've done a great job. But I think that's been a big, I guess, individual look at it is my relationship with the Clawson guys and people here. But in seminary, it's been good. Again, out of spite, I remember the first class, there was some book that mentioned Spinoza. I was like, we're not going to read about that, but we mentioned him. So I was like, okay, bet I'll read that.
Mentioned
myself.
who?
Spinoza, the theologian. So I read that, and that's been a whole path of seminary, but also my own readings and stuff.
Oh.
Which again, everything I do is out of spite, but
So you're still your
still my
modus
mindset,
operandi.
I guess
is
so, yeah.
Okay.
Has it been kind of difficult staying in Lamoni for 6 years just because of the location?
Right.
Obviously you're in your 20s and it's obviously different than going in a big city. So how has that been just being
For sure.
in Lamoni?
So at first it was fine. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, which is, I think, the most beautiful place on earth. Don't move there.
Did you say don't move there? Oh.
It's already too
overpopulated.
Overpopulated. So yeah.
But being here was fine. It was a college town. I liked that environment.
Yeah.
I liked how small it was, but 6 years later, I'm okay getting out of here.
Right.
It was fine for 4, but
Yeah, so just for our listeners to know, Andrew's actually in his last semester of working as a graduate assistant.
Yep.
We've arranged for him, last summer, you're going to stay on and work for the summer, but that's actually for Graceland, not the church so much. But so you'll be leaving sort of the end of July, I guess. Or
End of
Isn't that when
July.
Spec is?
Yeah,
he'll be.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and you have a new opportunity at Spec because you told us before the interview started.
Yes.
You're going to be the Rockies delegation leader.
Yeah.
That's
because
cool.
the person in charge is going through some sicknesses right now.
Right.
So that's why I'm taking over for the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you're talking about you're graduating from your grad assistant program. So what's next?
I definitely have a lot of options, which I very much appreciate. If you asked me 4 weeks ago, I would have said a PhD program, and I was looking at Notre Dame for that. But now I'm looking at eventually being a Navy chaplain. I'm looking at a CPE program in Ohio. I'm applying to it actually today.
What does CPE stand for? Do you remember?
Clinical pastoral. Something.
Okay. Clinical pastoral. So it's a training program to be a military chaplain, then basically.
Yeah, military or hospital chaplain.
Okay.
That's 2 routes that kind of go.
Yep.
So I'm applying to that literally today. And then that'll be for 2 years that I'll do that program in Ohio. Hopefully it's a bigger city than Lamoni.
Well, there are some small towns in Ohio.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's Cleveland. So
oh, yeah. No.
So I'm going to do that hopefully for 2 years. Even if I don't get into this program, I still have an opportunity to do a Navy chaplain. So this is just the best presented opportunity for me right now.
Right.
Hopefully a Navy chaplain, and hopefully to a doctoral program after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still maybe Notre Dame or something.
That would be
like
cool,
that?
Notre Dame,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Will they end up paying for your school?
I don't
Or
think
not?
so. It's okay.
No.
They've been paying for my school for a while. So it's okay.
Yeah. So Navy chaplain. Okay. So yeah.
It'd be cool to travel the world, aircraft carrier, some destroyer or something.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
foreign land. It'd be pretty cool, I think.
How did you decide Navy chaplain?
The one between Army and Navy. In Army, well, you're kind of more in, I guess, the stuff. You stick in one place. I like to kind of move around.
Oh.
even though I've been
So
here for
do
6
you
years,
have to
but-
go through like boot camp and everything?
Yeah, I think it's a less extent. It is 5 weeks, and there's like an officer camp too.
Mhm.
But
Well, yeah, since you have a degree, you'll
Yeah,
be
exactly.
an automatic
Right, you'll be an
officer.
Yep.
Well, that is quite an opposite thing, though. If you think about 6 years in Lamoni, and then you're going to go tour the world.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So
it'd be pretty cool.
it is pretty cool.
I'm looking at a minimum of 3 years, but if you do 10 years, you get the full benefits, which would be nice too. And I could do 3 years active, 3 years active, and 4 years reserve, and do my doctorate in those 4 years reserve.
Okay.
That's my time
Okay.
plan.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Now, technically, you will not be finished with seminary. Well, explain that to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have one more semester. I don't know to call it
yeah.
semester, but
I have my classes end in the summer,
okay.
but my specific program I'm in, I'm supposed to do an internship or like some kind of program
Right.
starting in October. So the program that I'm looking at for CPE all starts in October. So I talked to Zach.
Zach Harmon McLaughlin, Dean of the Seminary. Yes.
And he
sorry.
knows this, but
Yeah.
hopefully he's okay with it still me saying it on here. But okay with the CPE program being that.
Being that's yeah, sure.
Oh,
I mean, that
awesome.
makes sense to me. I
Right.
mean, it's like, yeah.
So hopefully they're okay with that too, that program.
Yeah. They'll never hear this problem.
I've already told them about it, so I think
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because even to get into the program, you have to have a master's degree. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of telling them I'm still working on it, but you're helping me
But-
finish it.
yeah, right.
So
Right.
it all goes together.
That was that's why I brought it up, because I knew you had this sort of what I would call dovetail experience where you're
Yeah.
threading one into the
Yeah,
other, and
exactly.
it's really in some ways ideal for you.
It
I mean,
is, yeah. If it works out, it's very ideal.
yeah, if it works
I know, I'm
out.
not kidding.
Yeah. Yes, he just noting he just knocked on Formica. So
Yeah.
yeah, or whatever this plastic is. Yeah. Not really wood, but it looks like
Right.
wood. So okay. Yeah. Well, immediately in our future, we have the 2025 World Conference coming up. So is there anything, I don't know, about you and about everything you've been through and going through? Is there anything particular about World Conference that intrigues or I don't know if that's the right question.
Sure. I'm curious because it's kind of a piece.
Yeah.
That's been the theme for the past since 2018.
Well, it's also your master's, which you got your master's in, right?
It is.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we should explain.
Oh.
Yeah, you have your choice of Master of Arts
Yeah.
in Religion, like what I ended up with,
Right.
but you are now pursuing the
Peace and social transformation.
Master of Arts in Peace and Social Transformation.
MAST or something.
MAST. Sounds like never.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
my concern though is what does that mean for me being in the military if we're a peace church?
Yeah.
And we already have Ryan Pitts, obviously, Navy chaplain right now too.
Yeah, what is he in the Army or
He's
Navy?
in the Navy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Ryan's in the Navy, and Ryan has connections, obviously, to Graceland. His father still teaches here, at least.
Yeah.
Max Pitt. So, all right, and they still live in Lamoni, his mom and dad. So,
So my concern is what does that mean for me specifically, especially if I want to work at the church later on? Are they going to be like, oh, we're okay with you that you served in the Navy, or are they going to say, hey, we're a peace church, you can't be doing that?
that's an interesting dilemma. I mean, I don't see the role of chaplain as being
Yeah, I'm not giving a gun or anything.
right.
So-
Yeah, so it's like you're there to care about doing pastoral care
Right.
for the men and women who are in the Navy that you get assigned to work with. I mean, so yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's where you'd want a chaplain to be honest. So,
Right.
Yeah. I just don't, no, I totally agree with that. That makes sense. So
that's
cool.
my concern for this World Conference is what
Yeah.
they're going to say on different,
Yeah.
their views on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not too, I guess, invested.
I know
Yeah.
we've I don't know exactly how that'll come up. I can't remember what conferences, but I know that conversation has happened before.
Yeah, I remember being
Conference.
a delegate at 2018 or 2019, whichever year that was, when we had brought up peace then also.
Yeah.
So it's just been kept being pushed back, I know,
Mhm.
but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have a long, illustrious time with theology,
Right.
undergraduate. I know, did you take religion courses?
I took a philosophy class, but that
But
was
not really
I was a
religion
history
courses.
major, so that kind of like
Oh,
got me
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah.
that.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, anyway, so I guess I have a couple of thoughts about or questions for you about theology. Like, is there, and these might be pretty deep, I don't know, but how has your theology, how would you describe it? Has it changed
Mhm.
since being, I don't know, in undergraduate and then seminary?
For sure, yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
So came into Graceland being a progressive Christian, which probably is true for most community Christ kids, but not most Christian kids being progressive.
Yeah,
So I already had a very, I think, open-minded relationship with God and
sure.
without all that. Transcendentalism was a big thing for me in high school. Like Jack London, Henry David Thoreau, all those guys. When I got here, my anger for the world and for, I guess, God was there. So I had resentment. So I kind of got into more of like my own will to power, what I thought was going to be like, I don't know, what I thought I wasn't going to do. Which led me down to, I guess, nihilism, absurdism, existentialism, eventually, and realism. So I consider myself to be a Christian existentialist, which is God's given me opportunity and I'm going to try to fit into God's will now. So it's like aligning my willpower with God's will is my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Is there
Well-
anything from a theological perspective, something you're passionate about? I mean, I don't know whether that would tie with your plans to become, a Navy chaplain or maybe something else. I don't know.
Right. I think the biggest thing for me and like why I've been angry is like coming from the Rockies or being on Clawson, and like I consider those are my boys, those are my people
Right.
that I'm trying to like help in the world. And so that really is my passion. That's to be an example for those guys to show what you can do, and then also do what needs to be done too. Do the thing. So it's kind of like a two-prong approach, but that's my passion. It's just to really be there for those guys in any way possible.
Yeah. And you're sort of extending that in some ways in the Navy as well. I
Right.
mean, you would be because your boys or
Yeah, exactly.
people,
Yeah.
not
People,
maybe not
yeah.
just men.
The Navy people.
Yeah, the Navy people.
The sea
So,
people.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think also just like when I think of like the Rockies guys that are especially the Rockies relegation, they come from not much means. And so trying to show them, hey, this is, going to college, getting like showing them what you can't attain. Well,
Yeah.
I myself do have more means than most people do. Still being an example in the world that they can actually see and talk to, I think is
Yeah.
good also.
Absolutely. Okay. Great. Well, Andrew, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. So thank you for this interview.
I'll see you guys in 6 years, right?
You still have a couple more months.
Yeah, we're not quite ready to get rid
Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
I'll talk to like kids who are thinking of coming to Graceland. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I think when I think of it this way, when I tell a normal person to come to Graceland, I might have some reserves, but if I had to tell my own kid to come here, it's 100%. I would say come to Graceland. This is where it made me the person I am today. The hardships are there for sure. Any college has them, but the community is such a safe place to fail here. I failed so many times. I know that I have, but I'm still being able to succeed in life. So I think Graceland's a place to go to find out who you are and just to become a better version of yourself.
Nice. Thank you.
That wraps things up for today's episode of Coffee in the Swarm. Thank you guys for listening. This is Aliyah
Andrew.
And Mike.
signing off until next time.